government, either by itself or acting through the CBN, commercial banks, and others from banning the use of old Naira notes on February 10, 2023. In a related development, the Apex Bank on Wednesday, the 15th of February, adjourned the suit filed by the state governments to challenge the Naira redesign policy of the Apex Bank till Wednesday, February 22nd, for a hearing of the consolidated suits by 10 states indicating that the old 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira notes are still recognized as legal tender in the country. Recall that the persistent scarcity of the Naira notes, both new and old, have continued to worsen, causing untold hardship for both citizens and businesses, even as Nigerians continue to spend long hours at ATM queues to access the new Naira notes. To give us the legal perspectives into this development, I'm being joined via Zoom by the Commissioner of Justice and the Attorney General of Lagos State, Mr. Moyosori Onigbanjo, SAN. Thank you so much for your time. It's good to have you join us on the program.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Well, to our own understanding, the Supreme Court has adjourned this case of the old and new Naira notes till February 22nd. What does this mean for this very issue on ground? Because it looks like the federal government has taken a position already.
Well, I mean, we were before the Supreme Court yesterday, in which the court joined the Lagos state government and some other states that were interested in joining the suit. And the court gave directives that we should all file our processes and come back on the 22nd of February for arguments on the matter. The court also reiterated and confirmed that its order of interim injunction was still in place. The interim order was basically to kind of preserve what we call the rest before the court could delve into the matter properly. And having done that, the court adjourned the matter till next week, Wednesday. So, well, that's pretty much the legal perspective of the issue. Other than that, we woke up this morning to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to his speech, in which he extended the deadline, I believe, to sometime in April, only in respect of 200 Naira notes. This directive or this speech by Mr. President is quite contrary to the injunctive order granted by the Supreme Court. And I believe Mr. President has enormous powers, no doubt, in the Constitution, but those powers does not include the power to sit on appeal in respect of a decision of the Supreme Court or any court for that matter. So as far as I'm concerned, as a lawyer and as the Attorney General of Lagos State, the interim order of the Supreme Court still stands, basically because Mr. President, even in all his enormity, cannot overrule any order made by the Supreme Court. So my advice is that, not even my advice, I mean, the position of the law is that the order of the Supreme Court prevails.
So I have also heard some follow-ups saying the federal government, that what happened today, staying with the 200 Naira notes being a legal tender till April 10th, will be a contempt of court. I'm not a lawyer, but I need us to understand truly what does that mean? Is it contempt of court?
Well, in view of the fact that Mr. President has constitutional immunity from legal process donated to that office by the Constitution. So really the issue of any contempt against him, any contempt proceedings against him is dead in the water because of that immunity granted him, so to speak. But for any other person who directly or indirectly violates an order of any court, more so the Supreme Court, yes, contempt proceedings can be initiated against them. They would actually be in contempt. So all the banks, for example, who refuse to collect the old 1,500 Naira notes, they would actually be in contempt of that court order. Ditto for any organization who refuses to accept those notes as legal tender in exchange for goods or services, they can also be cited for contempt of the court.
Interesting stuff. Immediately after that, yesterday, the Lagos State government warned that those rejecting the notes, just like you alluded to now, will be prosecuted. So does it mean that this still stays, considering the directive of the court?
Yes, the advisory issued by Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, governor of Lagos State, still stands because it's in total accord with the position of the law as we speak this minute.
Now, let me ask again, from a legal angle, what is the implication if a bank fails to pay my money, a customer's money or anybody's money, even when the customer has money in his or her account?
So that's the interesting thing. There is a contract between a bank and its customer. And that contract is simply that on demand, the bank will give me a certain amount of the funds I have in my account. So any bank who refuses to give credit to any customer who asks for his money are flouted, are in breach of that contract, and that customer has a right of action in court. And I would advise any citizen of Lagos State that if you go to your bank and you legitimately demand for your funds and the bank is giving you excuses, then you take them to court and you sue them for damages. Whatever injury they've caused to you by the inability of the bank to give you access to the funds you have with them, it's actionable and they should go to court and press for full damages.
Now, in all of this, the people, obviously, all of us, we can't get this new notes. The old one's still not available. Can all of this help address the present challenges being faced by Nigerians in regards to the scarcity of these notes, either old or new?
Well, I mean, you know, the CBN, in quote, in its own wisdom, has decided to implement this policy at this particular time. Whilst quite a number of people do not quarrel with the policy, but the implementation as it is unfolding before all our eyes is quite faulty. And I think at this point in time, people who are on the verge of starvation, people who cannot continue with their livelihood, people who cannot access their funds, are really not interested in any macro or microeconomic gains. At this point, nobody cares what is the inflation rate or whether it is up or down. If I can't get my money, if I can't access my funds, if I can't continue with my livelihood, so it's immaterial at that point what the inflation rate is. So far as I need money to feed my family, I need money to pay for treatment in an hospital, I don't think anybody's going to care what the long-term or short-term gains of this policy will be. It's also seriously unprecedented anywhere in the world for for people to have to buy their own money, because that's what is going on. People are paying to access their own funds. So for 100,000, I'll pay 120,000 naira to get it. For 1,000, I'll pay 1,200 naira. That is, I believe, as ridiculous as it can get. And anything that anybody can do, any authority can do to bring this to an end is obviously welcome, because there's no doubt people are suffering. The nation is at a cliff edge, because we can see already that as a result of this policy, the outbreaks of violence, pockets of violence in different states, and unless this burning issue is addressed in time, we can't predict what's going to happen next.
Indeed. Interesting one. You just talked about using Naira to buy Naira, and we also see the point of sales guys, that's the POS guys, taking advantage of Nigerians who are paying as much as 4,000, 4,000 to get 10,000 Naira. That is what we also hear on the other side. Is there any law also that manages all of this when people take advantage of situations like this and want to exploit Nigerians?
Yeah, so there are many laws, of course. There are many laws that govern what I'll call this kind of fraudulent practice. But you see, I think the policy has created the ground for this, because when the old notes were in circulation, unrestricted circulation, the issue of anybody buying their notes, buying their money did not arise, because there were enough notes, enough of these notes in circulation. So nobody had to buy. But when you then say, okay, from 10th of February or before then, from the last day in January, we're going to have new notes, and these new notes are not enough. So there's a scarcity of the new notes. Then you make room for exploiters. You make room for people to be exploited, and you just raise the temperature of everybody.
Well, so sad. Let me ask what your message will be to Logosians at this time. Of course, it's few days to a much talked about election, and a lot is going on. What will be your message listening to what the president is saying, what the Supreme Court is saying, and all of that? They would like to hear from you and understand how to move on around all of these issues.
So the message is that Logosians will report any organization or any institution or anyone refusing to collect the old the old 500 and 1,000 naira notes, because in accordance with the order of the Supreme Court, those notes are still legal tender. Yesterday evening, when I got back from Abuja at the toll gate in the airport, when I got to my turn, I wanted to pay, and I gave them the old 1,000 naira note, and the toll operator said, we only accept new notes. I told him, I said, well, I don't have any new notes, so what are we going to do? After a few minutes, they let me through without paying. So so even as you can see, organizations are also losing money, because I can imagine the number of people who will be in the same situation I was yesterday evening, who will not have that new note to pay. And what I understand is that also, if you also say people should do transfers, that the transfers don't go through for a while. So imagine I want to just pay 300 naira to go through that toll gate, and you say I should do a transfer, and I'm there waiting for 30 minutes for the transfer to come in. It's just seriously sad, that we find ourselves in this situation. and something needs to be done and done urgently, whether through the courts, whether through a reconsideration of this policy, something needs to be done.
So February 22nd, you're in court again, right?
Yes, we're back in court on the 22nd.
And this continues. I must thank you so much. It's really nice having you join us on the show to make all of this clarity and make us understand all of this. I've been speaking to Mr. Moyosori Onigbanjo. He is the Commissioner of Justice and the Attorney General of Lagos State. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much, sir. God bless you. Bye.